All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Podcast Now Plus. Welcome back to the Save Point Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Alex, and I'm joined by my good friend, as always, Sway. And oh my God, I think we kind of struck gold 2 weeks in a row. Last week, half an hour before the show, Halo was canceled, and then now, about an hour before the show, big parts of the industry are going on strike. So I feel like we need to stop, and because it can only get worse from here. But no, we're going to talk about the strike. We can talk about, I'm looking at the title here. I mean, there's actually quite a bit today. Stalker 2 was delayed. Stellar Blade got an update. And we're another week closer to, San Diego Comic-Con, I think, is ongoing literally right now. Lots going on. So, Sway, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here for another week. And man, just the news that seems to come out on Thursdays before we do.
It's Thursdays. I really think it's the Thursdays. Because yesterday there was nothing. Yesterday was kind of dead. But today, I don't know. Maybe Thursdays are kind of that sweet spot. Well, you and I were talking before about this strike, and we can kind of just move that into this video. What do you think? Like, this is, as we were saying, like, this is kind of a big deal. There's many ways these games can go, kind of depending on what stage they're in, right? If you've already started recording, you probably can't get AI, you can't get non-union members, like, you're probably screwed. But there are ways maybe around it. If you haven't started recording, different games could be impacted. What do you think?
It all depends. There's, we were talking about it off stream. There's multiple ways that they can really approach this, as far as, if they haven't started, they can go with voice actors that are not part of SAG-AFTRA. Or they could go AI, which I hope they don't.
Yeah, that'd be a bad idea.
But then for the ones that are in the middle of it, or maybe at the tail end of it, those are the ones that I worry about. And things like the heavy hitters like Grand Theft Auto next year. We can only hope that they've done all of their voice work by now, that there is nothing left, because games like those, we see, like, now to this day what the SAG-AFTRA strikes did, as far as like the fallout from it, from lasting as long as it did to Hollywood, and what it continues to do to Hollywood right now. And in a time when there's a lot of studio closures happening and a lot of mass layoffs happening, this is the worst time to have a strike. And if I'm, the studios, I'm just giving them what they just sign off, just let them just back off of AI, just back off. Yeah. Because this could be detrimental to the entire industry if this goes too long, even a hair too long.
Yeah. And well, you make a good point. And what's funny is, like, it's different than the Hollywood one, but also somewhat similar in that was also a terrible time, right? Like, you just had, movies were on the down, on the decline. You had, it was a terrible time to pause for what I forget, like 9 months or whatever it was that they did. Like, that was just such poor timing. And it goes into the bargaining agreement and stuff, but same thing for games. Like you said, like, gaming is kind of doing better than ever in terms of sales, but this year and really the last year and a half, right, have been terrible for layoffs and all these companies doing that. So yeah, that is really bad timing, because now I think it's easier for like Hollywood had to shut down. You can't do anything without those mega stars, right? If you don't have Margot Robbie, you can't make your movie. But for games, you can do literally anything but the voice stuff. You can still write stuff, right? You just can't record it. I'm unsure about the motion capture. I would assume you probably can't do that either, depending on who the person is, right? But like a large amount of the game you can still make, which makes me feel okay. But you bring up GTA, which was one that, in my video I forgot about, but like, that is such a big game, so many voice actors. I think there's no chance it's done. I think they have to keep, going. And that is absolutely one that I think, could be hit. Our favorite Wonder Woman, add on a couple of years to that one. Like the EA ones make me afraid for BioWare with Mass Effect and Dragon Age, Disney for Kingdom Hearts, Activision. I guess like next year's COD actually could be in trouble. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think, like, what does Activision do besides COD? Not much. But yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and we knew it was coming. You and I said, but there was a couple times over the last like 2 years. I think October of 2022, and I remember seeing tweets, and I think we even probably did this on an episode about the possibility of it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So it's not like it came out of left field. I didn't know it was gonna happen tonight.
No,
I
me
guess
neither.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I just
that was the contract thing. So I guess maybe we should have known, but nobody ever set a date. But yeah, that caught me off guard.
I just think that this is it's just such at a horrible time, man. And like the way to scurry around it, the way to get around it is going to be the telltale sign that I am most interested in, because while they're battling AI, I mean this is technically the perfect time for companies to try AI. Technically, now
Yeah,
you're in the
yeah.
situation. I don't want to see it, but that's where a lot of them is going to lean towards right now. Um,
Well, it sucks
and
because like I don't want it, especially
no,
AI voices. Like I feel like that's one of the easier ones to detect.
yep,
But there was just that article like 2 days ago that, and I don't remember if it was Variety or Verge or something. Remember they did that deep dive where Activision Blizzard, like they're sneaking in AI. I
yep,
think 75% of studios are using it. So it's like you said, like companies, when EA says we want to make AI like part of our game starting now, and it's going to be a big part over the next like 5 years. Now you're giving them more, it's a risk, but it's also, like it's a risk reward kind of situation because I don't think AI voices would be received well at all. I don't think it would go, in a game. But they're in the era of trying it out when they probably shouldn't be anyway. But they're trying it out. Now they can just try it with voices because you did this. So it's tough.
it is, and this is going to be fascinating to see where they go from here. Just to see how quickly this deal gets done or how quickly it doesn't. If they play with fire, or if they don't.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that they can find a resolution as quickly as possible, because the horrible thing about this is that indie games will most likely not be affected at all. So the indie games that are coming out, or the double A games even, that are using voice actors that are not affected, they're not SAG-AFTRA. Some of them may not even have voice acting. Those take longer to pump out, but AAA, which can pump out titles much quicker, that's where the community is going to feel it the most, because that repetition, things coming out a lot more, we're going to be paying attention to the indie games now. And I think that that's going to put a lot more pressure on the AA and the indie developers to pump out games a lot more, because the AAA are not going to be able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's oh boy, oh boy. I think it'll probably take some time. It really shouldn't, especially because they did say like they had a lot of the other stuff done. To be fair, or to just cover all of it, there is that one part in that statement. You can still hire them, but you have to hire them basically at this like new agree. So if you're hiring like 5, you're kind of going to do to them what you would do if you pass the thing anyway. And it's just that it's not passed. So technically they could, but, which that happened a little bit with Hollywood, right? You could just, you could like, sign them individually. A lot of those indie movies kind of happen with them. All right. So number one, we want to thank everybody or welcome everybody to the stream. And of course, if there's anything you guys want to talk about or chime in, GTA 6. I hope GTA 6 doesn't get delayed. Whatever inside. Yeah. Like Wolverine, I would put at great risk.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. Like a lot of these things, like Wolverine doesn't have technically even a release year. I mean, unless you count. I mean, didn't they say 2024 in that one article? I mean, if there was ever a release window, it was that. But we'll see if they can skirt around it where it's like, well, we never said it was coming out next year, right? Quiet Place, I think, is safe. I don't think there's voice acting in A Quiet Place. I don't really think that. Well, maybe a little, right? But I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be as quiet as possible. That needs a date though. Could affect the PS showcase and future Jeff shows. No, from what I understand, they can still promote stuff, right?
Yeah.
Act because they're doing the Dragon Age panel like right now, and they can talk about it. And technically, it's still not in effect until tonight. So technically, they can be recording today if they wanted. But you can still talk about your perform. Like if Nolan North does Uncharted, he could talk about it, but he can't actually record it. Yep, crazy times, crazy. Just as things were settling down, now we get this.
If I remember correctly, now that I'm thinking about it, if you are a person using Troy Baker's voice, I believe he did sign his right over to AM. So if you're using Troy Baker, I mean, you must
think
be
you probably could get away with
sign of relief.
Yeah, he got into a couple of that AI things a few years ago, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like I don't want like when James Earl Jones did that thing for Dark. Like I hated that. But at the same time, like I am a guy who preaches constantly like your choice and like everybody's got their own things. It's like if he signs it over and he's willing, I think it's a bad idea. But I'm not him. If he does it, he does it. Um, I'm not a fan of that like existing, but if that's in the contract and they want to sign it and they get residual money or whatever, or they buy it in like a flat rate, I think it's a terrible. You got to think about like 50 to it's not really about the short term. It's about when you're dead and you're gone for like 20, 30 years and then they're still using, what I mean? Like that's, if I'm him, that's what I'd be thinking about. But again, like everybody's different. No, next year I think will still be. And you have to remember, it's not every studio.
Yep.
Like Square Enix isn't impacted. A lot of the Xbox ones. I mean, it's literally just
not in America, really.
Yeah. Sure. Konami's not impacted.
Capcom, I imagine, wouldn't be impacted.
No, it was only the ones they listed.
Yep.
And I have a picture. Maybe we can. Some of them I don't even know what they are. I've never heard of them before, and that's why when you see the tweets that are just doing like the highlights, they're skipping over the like the lesser known names. All right, let's see if we can read it together. Present. I gotta get faster with this. Share screen. There we go. So right here. Oh, I can't highlight. It only impacts Activision, Blind Light. Anybody want to take a guess as to what they make? I don't know. Disney character voice. Actually, and I didn't even see that. Disney character voices. So that's definitely Donald, Mickey, Goofy, all that stuff in Kingdom Hearts 4. So that does impact Square Enix, I guess, a little, but just Kingdom Hearts, I imagine. EA, Formosa, never heard of it. Insomniac, not PlayStation, just Insomniac, which I don't understand that. But Llama Productions, Take-Two, VoiceWorks, and then our good old I mean, that one is like a killer. Like seeing WB, it's like, of course WB would be on that list, right?
Your heart just drops.
Yeah. Like I don't know, but yeah, to me, like Insomniac's big because of Wolverine. Take-Two for GTA, WB for pretty much everything because none of their games are out except for. I wonder if that stops. Like Suicide Squad, like season 3, and like because you imagine the Justice League parts are already recorded. Like if they're really going to do the thing where they bring them back, right, and say Kevin recorded more lines, that's already done because he's gone. But what if you need the voices for Deadshot or who, you know what I mean? Like what about, or Deathstroke or whatever is going to be? Isn't one of them like a rumored character? Like they might still need to do voice lines. So even for Suicide Squad, a game that already has these seasons apart way too far and has delayed them and all that jazz, that actually might impact Suicide Squad season 3. I'm willing to take a $1 bet on that one.
Honestly, if I'm them and it does affect that,
just can't.
I either just cancel it or speed up that update where you make the game playable offline. That is what you do, and that is how you can buy yourself some time and goodwill with people to.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean, I would just think like the universe is out to get you at that point, where it's like, nah, you can't work with this voice actor, and it's like, oh my, we just want to finish these last 2. We've been told to stop, and we're still doing it anyway. Like, I don't know. All right, are you guys looking forward to or excited for Dead? I am. Are you still seeing it tonight?
Tomorrow.
Oh, it got delayed. Me too. Tomorrow, early afternoon for me, and then I'll do a video right after. I almost got spoiled. I got to be real. I was on YouTube and I almost saw something. So
I've gotten smart with this one. I haven't been typing in Deadpool. I've pretty much been off Twitter. I almost forgot to do my own countdown today.
Oh my God. Well, I've been so out of it, whereas like I didn't think it would pop up. But I think I watched maybe like I saw the Hot Ones one with them, and I think I've seen like promotional stuff, and maybe that got in the algorithm that like I'm looking for it. But I don't really watch Marvel or theory videos or anything like that. I don't really watch it, so I thought I was safe, and then I wasn't for a second there, but I didn't see anything. So, when are we going to see more Dragon Age? Well, I prayed to God that it was going to be today, and then they took that part out of the Comic-Con. So, oh, well, in their update today where they mentioned Steam Deck and all that jazz, they say later this summer they'll talk about the launch. So I think that's probably Gamescom. That's my prediction. So I would say
sounds like a safe bet.
Yeah, later this summer, unless they're going to do it on their own. And BioWare does do their own blog stuff, so it is possible. But I think Gamescom, they'll do another trailer, give the release date for November, and then you'll see stuff leading into it. I didn't know there was a season. Didn't it just... Is it out? When is it out? Tomorrow? I don't think it actually is officially out yet, right? Because they delayed it. But I saw videos of it on Twitter.
Mrs. Freeze, like her traversal and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe. Let me look it up. I think it might be tomorrow, guys. In case you want to get back into it. Release date. Yeah, tomorrow. Oh, no, today. See, July 25th. Is it out? Forbes says Suicide Squad Killer Justice League Season 2 launches with
they had maintenance this morning.
Oh, dear. Oh, well, this says when can you play it? Let's look at this.
Today. Yesterday, there was a post about season 2 being out tomorrow, and today is tomorrow. So
it went down to put in the patch.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, look at that. Then you can play it right now. She doesn't look cool, but her traversal looks cool. Yes. I like the movement quite a bit. And I like Joker. I never played Joker. What?
I think I've seen that they overhauled some things in the game.
Oh,
in general?
You probably know more than me. I saw her movement, which looks really fun. Honestly, one of the cooler movements. I saw the picture of the snowy, kind of air. I want to know a couple things. I want to know if they're going to do the same stupid cutscene they did with, and that's it. That's the whole story element. That's my number one. It's really actually my only thing because I got almost excited for Joker because I thought it was going to be a couple hours and 10, 15 minutes of cutscenes. I thought, and it was maybe a minute of cutscene.
They did the Call of Duty thing.
Yeah, and they did the comic kind of thing in the beginning or whatever, and some of those things that they had Joker say, I think, in some of those audio logs or something, Joker is not a stable individual in this universe, so I don't know what was going on there. We'll see. We'll see what they do with Mrs. Freeze. I mean, look, there's nothing to play, so maybe I'll check it out, but at the same time, no. Are you going to check out the COD? Normally, I don't do the COD stuff. You see the COD beta in late August is for Game Pass. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to try to check that out because this year I'm actually thinking about getting it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason at this point for me not to with Game Pass.
That's true.
Play it, play the multiplayer a few days, and the story. If it's another 3-hour adventure, we'll call it. You could beat that in a day. Okay. Venom. Yeah, I mean, Venom could also actually be in the midst of recording, say with a Tony Todd stuff, so that could actually be a problem. Spider-Man, I don't think they would be doing voice lines already. And Survivor, maybe they are actually pretty fast with Survivor. That could be impacted, and that has to probably be a union of some sort because of those. Do you think WB is going to delay and already planning or delaying Quidditch Champions? No. No. They did the Ron thing today. We both, Sway and I both responded to it.
That's too far. I mean, it's too close to coming out at this point.
They did just do Stalker 2 today, and Stalker 2 came out 2 or 3 days after Quid. But I just don't think it's going to happen.
I think we're good on that. I think we're good on that.
I think we're okay. No, I think August needs to be a big month for Quidditch. I'm pumped. I'm really pumped.
Unless it has a gigantic because I know that there is a story mode that they said there was in the release or some type of season mode. Unless there's heavy voice acting in there, I just can't see it.
Yeah, see that stuff is stuff. September games should be done with voice. That's why I get afraid for Dragon Age because sometimes it goes up until the last month or the month before. If Dragon Age is November, it is possible they would still do voice work August and September. Those are very possible. So then it's do you delay it? Do you just not like if it's re-recording? Do you just like call it and say, well, I guess take 5 was good. We don't need to take 6. Like, it's tough. It's tough. Well, now that I am thinking about it. Oh no. It's only for. I was thinking. Well, there's probably people in the union for like Final Fantasy, but I was like, but Square Enix is fine with it. Okay, I gotta get myself not scared. It's not every game, Alex. Missed the start of the stream. Is the voice actor strike just the U.S.? It generally is affecting U.S. companies. Yes. Yeah, U.S. companies love that. Love to stretch it out again. They love to take it deep for collective bargaining. How's it going, Nick? I bought DMC4 for my PS3. Wow, Sway, any comments on that?
I hope you enjoy. It is it's one of my favorite entries into the entire series of DMC. So I think you'll like it if you've never played it. It introduces my favorite DMC character, Nero. So
there you go. Did you see with all that Capcom stuff that came out and the ones that I like when they talk about Mega Man, right? It seems very much that when they have these big franchises, they identify them, right? And then just when they said 5-year cycles. So like the team, they did Dragon's Dogma 2, you might get you will get a DMC 6 or whatever, but you might have to wait 5 years.
But that's what's like, so since DMC 5 came out, that was 2018 2019.
Yeah.
So we've got to be approaching the 5.
Yeah, but I thought the team that did Dragon's Dogma, or at least the head guy, he did. Yeah, he's the Devil May Cry guy. So I would assume they would start it now, which would mean 5. So it's kind of like it's a pro con where it's like, well, it only takes 5 years, but they're not required to do it 5 years after. Same thing for like Resident Evil. You'll get it faster than 5 years, but it's because it was like partially a different team and all that jazz. A little confusing, but I thought of you as soon as I saw it. I said 5 years. They just did Dragon's Dogma. You got to give them until 2029. Sway's gonna have to continue that countdown for a while. Oh, you don't have to. I mean, once they announce it, you don't have to necessarily.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah,
you can want the announcement.
Yeah. Then you do a countdown to the release or something. Yeah. I can't blink. My eyes I have no liquid in my eyes. I can't blink for that question. I'm sorry. I'm enjoying DMC4, but it's pretty different than 5. I love 5. I played 5 from start to finish for really the first time like last year.
It was like if playing them out of order might feel a little weird, but it's kind of like the jump from like DMC 1 to like everything else. A lot of mechanics were kind of like teased and being experimented with that, and then 5 just kind of beautifully just mashed everything together.
Yeah, I remember. I think I rented the collection back, like I feel like, and that was my first, because I don't think I ever owned a DMC or like a Ninja Gaiden, and I think back then like I would get them confused. But I know I played DMC maybe 1 because I think I did the collection at some point. And I've seen the collection out in the wild, and I really kind of regret purchasing it. I will eventually. I'll get it physically. but yeah. Well, the other news stories of the day, Stalker 2. So Stalker 2 eliminates itself from September contend, which is good. It doesn't need to be in September. Nope. And I think November 20th, I think they said. So it's a couple days after Assassin's Creed. Also not, I guess, ideal, but good for me because now you can clear September at least a little bit, and then the Stellar Blade stuff, they're leaning into the Stellar Blade stuff. Man, they're really going hard on the looks, and I can't say it's a bad idea, but
it inspired confidence for me because we've known that they were going public for a while now. So I was shocked to see how many other people were shocked that they went public. We knew about this for a while.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're still in the marketing, putting very strong emphasis on the looks, gives me confidence that they're not worried about their vision being affected too much by going public. Because while you do have to answer to investors, the final say is still up to them. So if they feel that confident about, because that was the biggest content of controversy, was her looks. So that kind of just seeing that and, teasing photo mode and just them doubling down. I kind of took it as like a wink, like, hey, like guys, don't worry. We can never not worry because of what we've
Yeah.
seen when companies go public. But that gave me a wink of confidence, at least, like they're, hey, like we're still gonna lean into this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thinking about being one after a community manager. Thinking about being a community manager after college. My concerns are: do they help with the development, like coding? Is so and so screwed? No, 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 no,
No,
no,
as a
no.
person that's
So
also going for community
yeah, I
manager.
was gonna. Sway is actually a very good person to talk to about this situation.
Yes. Pretty much. I mean, you're the middle guy. You're the guy in between the community and the company. You are also at the front line of everything. So
Yeah.
like when gamers want answers for certain things, when things get tough, you are the first person on the front line, that has to answer that. Not all community managers necessarily have to, but you kind of, depending on your company, depending on the agreements, depending on what they kind of want from you, you can kind of toe that line, but it's your job to basically build that bridge and interaction between company and community.
Smaller channel here, but in case anybody's watching, Sway is in the market, so give him a call or an email. I think it'd be better for like a big podcast now stream. But no, I wish there's actually like you I know, and then even Evan Falarka. He's been on the hunt for about as long as you, I would say, and both of you are trying, and I think you'll both get it. You'll both get it. Wicked, what's going on, buddy? Just talking about today's news. Well, one thing we haven't, I guess it would be a little bit of a break from the gaming stuff, but speaking of Deadpool, Wolverine, what do how excited are you? I think we talked about it more off screen than maybe on a stream. What do you think?
I'm very excited for it. Every trailer has gotten me hyped. Just seeing even the little montages that they do, they put a lot of money, you can tell, just in the marketing.
Yeah.
They had a lot of fun making it. And even the reviews have been just like, they've been harsh. There have been some that have been harsh, but I kind of expected it because of the type of movie that it is. I think I've seen a post like for every Rotten Tomato score that it's been so far for all of them, and they have gone down. The first one was at an 85. I think the second one was like at 84, and this one is at an 80. So
I didn't even looked.
but there are, certified fresh. But yeah, a lot of the review scores for it have kind of been harsh from like some of the bigger outlets.
Yeah.
And outside of that, I mean, like it's totally hype. I'm very, very, very excited for it, despite some of the more harsher reviews for it.
You're right. Deadpool 1, 85. Deadpool 2, 84. For fun, what did Logan get? Logan, 93.
Yeah.
And then Deadpool and Wolverine, 81. So, yeah. Yep. I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. Yeah, I think I'm kind of going to be harsh on it a little too, because, rewatching Deadpool's, rewatching Logan, it's like, specifically Logan, because of like what happens in Logan, right? It's like, these are people that don't always care about that respect factor in terms of like the creative side. And it's like, if there's one thing you need in this movie, it's the respect for Logan, or a way of just making it so distant. And I'm sure they'll explain it. I imagine in the beginning of like what's going on, right? But that's my biggest thing, is you got to distance yourself and all that jazz from Logan in order for me to, just because it just ended so well. That's such a perfect movie.
I don't know this for certain, but because of how he looks older, but he still looks younger than he did in Logan.
Yeah.
So and just off of some things that I heard from the trailer, the last trailer, I don't want to say anything because just in case
I
it
didn't
might
watch
actually be like, so I don't want to say anything. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that my prediction is that they will distance themselves from
it. I didn't watch it, that last trailer, but I saw like the big character, we'll say. I hated that they did that. Not that character is in it. I hated that they revealed it. I really wish there was, and I know like she was on the red carpet and all that jazz, but it's like I really would have liked to have gone in just not knowing that. That would have been so special. Yeah. Yeah. That hurt. That made me mad. Like I think I tweeted. I was like, I really wish you didn't do that in your stupid trailer. That's why trailers take them or leave them. Kanye, you got the answer. Swipe. Is that? I don't listen to Kanye, so is that?
It is a meme that like he was like, "How, Sway? How? You ain't got the answer,
Okay.
Sway."
Very good. I'm so excited for Deadpool and Wolverine seeing with my brother in 2 weeks. Oh my god. Be safe because, after this weekend,
They're
I
gonna
think
be spoilers.
spoilers, yeah, will be kind of everywhere. What do community managers do when it's not time to talk about the game yet? And do they do events and talk about the game?
NDA. So
Or they're not
basically,
brought on until
yeah.
like kind of later in,
Community managers are pretty much they're pretty much dependent on if they're working with another company or not. They're pretty much always regularly involved. If there's another company in between, then they kind of know about stuff later, like almost when everybody else does. But if it's not time to talk about something, you are NDA. Like 90% of everything that you do is NDA'd until it's time to release that information. So things that you would have to look forward to is like stuff like patch notes. You'd have to create all the patch notes. You'd have to create all the statements. A lot of that stuff is going to fall on you. A lot of information they're going to give to you because you got to be able to prep it. So you're going to have that information like well in advance. So you're just going to have a lot of responsibility, and you're going to have to really learn how to respect those NDAs.
The guy that knows what he's talking about. See, for companies that may be interested. Logan will forever be my favorite Soups movie, to be honest. Beautiful film in so many. Yeah, I like when I watched it and then I did the the Patreon exclusive video and I said I was going to say Logan's my favorite. I didn't want to jump the gun because I really like The Dark Knight and I really like The Dark Knight Rises, to be honest, more than most people. And then also like Avengers Infinity War was kind of just like unreal in what they did. So like Logan's probably in my top, I think top 4 would be fair to say, unless I'm forgetting one. Guardians, like Guardians I've always liked, but probably not liked as much as other people. So yeah, I'd probably say Logan's a top 4, maybe like a top 3 one for me.
Logan's top 3 for me.
For you, what's your number 1?
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Whoa, okay. See, I didn't even consider that, and I also, because I'm not a big Tobey Maguire. I like Tobey, but I'm not a big the Sam Raimi trilogy. Spider-Man 2, I think many people would say that's their number. I wouldn't even put that in my top, but wow,
So
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
when it comes to Spider-Man movies, the funny thing is that like when it comes to just movies in general, like because I look at them 2 different ways. Just from a movie standpoint, I think that Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire one, is one of my favorite movies of all time. But as a Spider-Man movie, all 3 of those movies are on the lower end because Andrew Garfield's and Tom Holland's Spider-Man are much more comic accurate than Tobey. And it's not just because of how he disperses the web fluid, but it's because of how the portrayal of the character themselves are. And that's kind of like, it's kind of so many layers for me to talk about, like just Spider-Man in general. Like literally, if we're just talking about it in terms of like how a movie is structured, put together, written, I like Spider-Man 2 more than a lot of movies I've seen. But like in terms of comic book accuracy and things like that, for me, it's on the lower totem pole.
Yeah, I've come to respect those 3, even 3. Like I have a lot of fun with Spider-Man 3. And I had more fun back in the day because I just like ripped on. Like I didn't even see anything good about it. I just was like, it's just as funny how bad. But Spider-Man 2, I can see like the greatness. Especially like the themes too. The themes of Spider-Man 2, very, very good. So yeah, I could see people putting that in. But Logan, and Logan's very depressing is what I also kind of forgot about. It's like like Professor X is the comic relief in that movie in Logan, and he only makes like 5 jokes, and the rest it's just so dark. They're constantly losing like the whole time, right? There's no like even there's a couple minor victories, I guess. But yeah, like that movie is just you got to go in with the right. My wife did like we watched I rewatched Deadpool 1 and 2 and my wife had never seen them. So that, that much more fun, right? Like energetic. And then I said, like, I want to watch Logan. And she said, I'm not like, I don't want to watch it because you got to be in the right. She's like, it's not a fun movie. And I was like, you're right. You're right. That's true.
It is. And it's not a fun movie. And that's kind of one of the more depressing parts about, like, I'm glad that Marvel has all of its IP back for the most part, but it's because of it wasn't owned by Marvel and Disney that we got that. And that was the bigger portion of it, is that you look at a character like Tony Stark, and what everybody knows to be Iron Man, don't even know 50% of them. You don't know about his alcoholic struggles. You don't know about a lot of the struggles that the character goes through, that, say, if Fox had them, you would have got to experience that, and you might have been able to have a different appreciation for him in the same way that you have for Wolverine, because of how they were allowed to write him. So that's kind of the other thing. It's like there's a lot of things that Disney just does not allow writers to touch about these characters that are in their history.
Yeah. Yeah. Good discussion. Good discussion. Want to start a game company, community managers together? Do you need two? Do you need two community managers? I don't know. I feel like there'd be fighting there. If we ever start like a grassroots, kind of game, we'll hire Sway and we'll hire you. I might play COD. Now, that's the newest COD that went on Game Pass, right? Modern Warfare 3? Yeah. See, I played 2 years ago, the multiplayer, and I really liked it. But I didn't play this. And what's interesting isn't this last one the one that people really went after but it was more of the campaign, right? The campaign was so bad and so short. I think if I were to play this one, I would play it literally just for the multiplayer, because I pretty much saw I watched like the Act Man's video, and I mean, they pretty much went through the whole campaign, right, in like 20 minutes. So I probably might. Right now I'm halfway through the final mission of Dragon Age Origins. I'm gonna play the first Borderlands game with my wife starting on this weekend. So if I can fit it in, I'm playing some 2009 classics right now, which, by the way, 2009, was that also Modern Warfare 2? Could have been.
Might have been.
Because I feel like 09 Modern Warfare.
09 was a good year.
Yeah. I really liked what do you call it? Was it Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, like that first one that did Modern? Yeah. That one I really liked. That was maybe 2007, 2008. I played that game a lot, and my friends had it. Yeah, I've just been out of the COD games. I mean, I remember that one, Modern Warfare 2. That's kind of it. I never played any. Maybe I played a Black Ops if there was an early one or something.
I own every Black Ops copy. That's why I know I'm probably gonna get it. I literally own physically every Black Ops, and Black Ops Cold War was the last one I bought, and that was the first time that I was genuinely really disappointed in the Black Ops.
Oh yeah,
very disappointed.
Oh my god. I'm seeing Deadpool 3 tomorrow night and staying off Twitter. That's a good move.
Good move.
That is a good move. Spider-Man 2 is my favorite superhero movie, and it's so nostalgic for me, and Toby is my Spider-Man. Yeah, everybody's got the one that
everybody's got theirs.
Yeah, everybody's got theirs. I guess like Toby is the one that I, growing up, he's what I would consider. I've always liked Andrew Garfield quite a bit. But yeah. I was just never into, I don't know, like Green Goblin was so cool. I watched the first one so many times, like as a kid, but I was just never into for whatever reason. I'm losing interest in Stalker 2. Why don't the devs just give a date? I obviously know well, I think they gave the date. I think it's now November 20th or something, but I will give them kind of like the ultimate pass, right? Like I'll give them like the golden ticket to do, whatever they want, just because their office was attacked, we'll say, much more violent than just attacked, I would say. They had to relocate. I feel bad. Now, I will not give them the ultimate pass when it comes to like the game quality. Like if you're selling the game, if you're putting a product out, like I know they have struggles. I know they have like real world issues and stuff, but once you put out the product, now you kind of separate yourself from it, right? So that's how I look at that. But in terms of releasing it and getting it ready. I'll give them whatever they. It's not fair what happened to. It's not every day your office gets. I want to say the word, but I don't want to say for YouTube the B word. It's not every day your office gets eliminated from the planet, and you have to relocate. So.
Yeah, and your heart just goes out to them, and that's the other thing. Is just like even then when you think about it, it's been a while. I think since we had to have a discussion about like a game not wanting to come out around a certain other game, and like what are the sales going? What is going to happen to the sales because it's coming out so close to Assassin's Creed?
Wait, say that again.
What's going to happen to the sales? Because it is coming out so close to Assassin's Creed. Like, right. What is that going to do to the sales? And so that's kind of the other thing where it's like, you know, they really are not catching much of a break at all.
Yeah. I don't think they're. I think they're doing it just for the quality. I actually think it's tough because September's got more games right now than November. November can get more packed. Right now, it's 5 days after Assassin's Creed. Dragon Age could come out around that exact same time. It could be in a worse spot now than what it was, but you know, you got to hope that the genre. It is one of the only shooters. You know, you think of even if you think in September, Harry Potter, Astro, Lollipop, Dead Rising, like the only Space Marine. The Space Marine and Stalker aren't really compared. You know what I mean? COD. You know, like COD and Stalker. Like, so I think it's an okay situation in terms of its genre. You know. I'm curious to see what the open world part is for Black Ops 6 story. Is it going to be open world? Oh my god.
That's the first I'm hearing of it.
Well, didn't they use the Warzone maps or something for the for
zombies? I know they used the Warzone map.
But then wasn't like the campaign missions in the last one just like glorified? Just then they just reused like 3 maps or something from the last. I didn't. Yeah. I didn't pay too much attention. I only saw it through angry videos on it. I did see that about the Penguin Show. I did see that. What do they call it? Batman Epic Crime Saga or something? Isn't that?
Yeah, that's the new name of the universe.
I like it. I like it, but it's too long and too hard to remember.
Yes. Like, getting it abbreviated is going to be interesting.
Yeah. The sales are gonna go woke and broke. Which game? There's so many to choose from. Are you guys still playing AC Shadows? Oh boy. Yeah. My plan is still to play AC Shadows. I've gotten so much backlash. I feel
I got the collector's edition.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I got the collector's edition for it. I have no horse in that race because I can understand where both sides are coming from. I am just like, if you're American, I don't think that this is your fight.
Yeah.
For the Japanese, no problem. Like, I have no beef with your qualms at all. I'm out of it. It's like the guy that fell off the boat. I'm not in it.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's there's so much fighting. There are real issues and stuff that Ubisoft did. I'm interested to see like how it actually. I'm always interested in that stuff, right? Like, how will it actually do anything? And I think it will, but I don't know like the severity. I think Assassin's Creed games have never really done well in Japan anyway. I don't know the numbers, but that like and Japan is pretty easy to track, at least physical sales. So that's something where it's like, okay, you know, if we can see week by week, you know, it could be doing terrible and we would see it kind of live. So you could see the impact, but yeah. I just, as I've said before, like with the Hogwarts Legacy, my main issue is just kind of the mentality. Like, I don't think it's wrong to fight for what you want, even want. It's one thing to fight for like what you believe, but also like what you want in a game kind of gets a little iffy, right? But I think you can do it. But my problem is just like with Hogwarts, you're seeing people that not just go to name calling, but I think condemning is a better word. You see people outright say, if you do this, you're that. And that's exactly what we've seen that before. And it's just, I don't think that's the right mentality. I think
the right strategy. Because I mean that the thing about it is that if you're looking at like the points of the argument, the people on, it's like Batman quote. Speaking of Batman, right? Become the hero, live long enough to see yourself become the villain, right? So everybody that was on the receiving end of Hogwarts Legacy is mostly in the camp of who are now on the offensive saying this about Assassin's Creed. And once again, me personally, I don't. This situation is so complex that, like, I just feel like, for me, my standpoint is, as an American, I feel like I don't have the proper voice to talk about it, because I do pay attention, and a lot of the side that seems to be the most upset is the Japanese in Japan. You look at the YouTube likes to dislike ratio on the Japanese one specifically, and a lot of the Japanese content creator voices that are speaking out about it. And I think that those are the people that that argument is over there. But for everybody condemning anybody that plays it, I think I even made the comment in the comment section to the video you made.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the sales, as far as it impacting, there's a lot of people that don't even know that this is going on. A lot of people, and I'm friends with a lot of people that don't even know this is going on. Yeah. So I think that those are the sales that won't be impacted. Assassin's Creed is a gigantic brand. So really what it's going to come down to, and I get it, like, people who are in the camp of, like, we want to support, those and respect all cultures. And I'm a person that loves to respect cultures. That's why I'm not going to necessarily have a voice. I don't want to have a say in it, because I want to give it that proper respect. So from, like, just a game structure of just, like, I get these games almost yearly. I bought the collector's edition to the last one last year. So when I seen it, I got a little hype. I did side eye myself a little bit, but at the same time, I'm just like, it's a creative vision. They are covered. They do change things at the for each of the Assassin's Creed games. They alter something, and they have that disclaimer at the beginning of every game. So there is just it's complex, and I think as far as the sales go, I do think that it does see some effect from it. I just don't know how much. It could be major, it can be minor, but I don't think that it's, like you said, I don't think it's going to come from Japan. It would have to come from America, and to see how much they are united in that cause of just, like, saying, hey.
It's also going to make me, like, I guess I can't talk about it too much because I've never played them, but I bought it and my wife played it, of Valhalla, right? Was that the last? So at least what you see online is like, that's the one that was kind of that full-on proof and, like, nail in the coffin of, like, this is the Ubisoft experience. Like, so much of Ubisoft's flack came from the right, bloated, and again, I can't talk. I want to play it just to, like, see it and really go at it if I agree with it.
Mirage or
no, I think Valhalla and Odyssey, right? Those were the ones that were 100+ hours, and everybody just said, like, very bloated, just not. It was filled with filler. And what I'm upset of, I think Valhalla, I think it reached like 20 million sale. It reached an insane sales number, and that's the one people were dogpiling. And it's like, so if this game does some things better and it gets, I mean, again, I don't care. Like, you spend your money how you want, but but I guess maybe that makes the point for the other side, where it's like the internet was mad about game issues in the last major Assassin's Creed, and it sold maybe better than most of the Assassin's Creed. So that, so this, is it going to matter? Because Japan has been something people have asked for forever. And we've gotten maybe better Japanese. Like, Ghost of Tsushima is like 95% still going to be the better game.
For sure.
But people have always wanted Assassin's Creed in Japan. And so now that they get it, like, that game could sell a couple million in a few days, break record. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know. And I think that's more likely to happen. So
I think that now, because there are also a lot, to your point, a lot of games that are, Japan based, that are coming out, that are quite frankly going to be better options. To be honest, they're going to,
like, Rise of the Ronin is fun. Ghost of Tsushima is, I think, the best one, like, of the group.
So there's a lot of things that you can pull from, that you can go, like, I would rather support this one than that one.
Right.
But this is going to be a very, very interesting case, because in my point, I'm looking at it and I'm going, like, there was a lot of detractors for Hogwarts Legacy. You have the whole media out for it, didn't do anything with sales. Same thing with Last of Us. And I think that there's a lot of people. I was, for one, against The Last of Us only because I didn't think that it deserved perfect scores from a lot of people. I looked at the scoring and I'm like, you would deduct points from a lot of other games,
right? Yeah.
but you wouldn't do it for this one. So that's really where my argument were against, and a lot of decisions that were made in the game, not Joel, but just a lot of other ones. And like making people play as Abby right after they killed Joel with her. I think that was kind of another one. I was like, I don't know how many people are gonna like this, but I get what you're going for. I get what you're going for, and it did work for a lot of people. But
Yeah.
to that exact same thing, while the internet was vocal, the sales said otherwise.
Yeah.
So, and even I have to lump myself into that because still got it.
Yeah.
So
Same. Me too. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's there's a couple of those like we've already lived through. I think Hogwarts was the biggest one, right? But we're gonna go through it with Assassin's Creed. We're gonna go through it with I think Star Wars Outlaws first, but like a lesser degree. In the movie department, I think Scream 7 is that exact same thing too. Huge like outrage online. Will it translate? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Like all of them are interesting to talk about, but you got to wait because so many people are just all talk, even though it requires money. Like they'll still do it, or like it just won't matter. It's just people that we're never going to get in the first place, and it's always so hard to, you know what I mean? And that might insult some people, but I think I said that in the Assassin's Creed videos where it's like people that say I've bought every Assassin's Creed until this one, they could totally be telling the truth. They could also just be liars.
yeah,
You don't actually know. You can't know.
and there's something about being a fan, and I hate to say it because it's kind of like it kind of goes against what you would want a person to do, but just me personally speaking here. Even the Stellar Blade went through this same thing from the opposite end,
Oh yeah.
and you just kind of like when you're a fan of something, and the best way I can put it is Star Wars for me. And the Acolyte was the first time where I just went, I can't finish. I can't watch every episode here. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But and as frustrated as I am with Star Wars, as I'm a person that likes to give my criticism, likes to say like, here, this is the way that you can kind of right the ship. But at the same time, as a fan in me, can I honestly sit here and tell you that, oh, I'm not gonna support Star Wars Outlaws? No, because I'm gonna get it. I am actually very excited for Outlaws. Am I gonna tell you that I'm never gonna watch another Star Wars show or movie? No, because I would like to try it because I want Star Wars to be good. I want to enjoy it. It's something that's been a part of my life for pretty much my entire life.
Right.
So for me, when I look at people and they say that, and I'm like, while everybody is different and they have a different mindset, and they can do a little bit differently than maybe I can, or they have the strength to do things more than I can. If you're as big of a fan of Assassin's Creed and you've purchased every game, and maybe you're a collector, maybe you're not a collector, but I find it very hard to believe that you can just go cold turkey and just not get this game at all when you've gotten all of them before, and your curiosity, the fandom portion of your curiosity, is not going to drive you to get that game. That is where I kind of have a disconnect. Not saying that it doesn't exist, but as a person that's a fan of a lot of different things and a diehard fan of a lot of different things, even if I dislike it, even if I'm very frustrated with it, there's always going to be a part of me that eventually checks in and say like, how is this? How did this do? I need to go on YouTube and see this, or I need to, look at an episode for myself just to see if it can grasp me and not just listen to the internet. I'm going to have that interest.
Yeah. It also, and again, like it's not like you can't have these mindsets or whatever, but it goes into, for me, so you've put up with certain things up until this point, until now. And I'm not, and that does not, because I think many people would then say, oh, immediately you're a racist. And it's like, no, that doesn't have to be true. I think many people that are against it are not actually racist, but it does make me think. So you put up with Odyssey and Valhalla being the types of games that they were, but now or and I mean that from a gameplay perspective. Or what about them just going mythological and completely changing? And they changed things back in like Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, Revelation, and now is where you draw the line. And again, I'm not saying you can't do that, and I'm not saying that hasn't happened, but I like to get into those conversations of like, okay, is it because of Yusuke and all that stuff, or what I mean? But you let them get away with doing mythological like gods and all this weird stuff that they did. Again,
It's
I
just
can't
trying
speak.
to find a line.
Right,
I
and
think
it
that's what
could
it
just be
involves.
like the last straw, just like in
Yeah,
Star Wars. Like you see enough of it, and then one thing is enough to just freaking. That can happen, but I
yeah.
wonder like each person
Each
if that.
person.
Yeah,
That's where it's always fascinating. It's just kind of like I feel like that's the point of if you look at any argument or like when it's the last straw of anything, because we're all different, and that's the beautiful thing, and that's what I like about individuality is that everyone is different. Everybody's last straw or breaking point is at a different point, and everybody's line is going to be different. And some there's going to be some where you're like, I can see how you got there, and then there's going to be others that's like, that doesn't add up. Like
right,
you tolerated this, but you couldn't tolerate that,
right.
and that's kind of like the interesting thing. And that's why like I myself like conversations like that, are just looking in on them, because it's like,
Yeah, they're fun.
where do you find where is your line? How did you get there? And like, what are you basing your line off of?
Right. It could be something super small, and you could have let something much bigger get away with it. But your point of breaking is like this, right?
Yes.
Because of that. And then something small and it might look silly, but it's like, okay, I can see how you got. But the thing is, a lot of the people that I see, they don't bring that stuff up. And that's like, okay, did you have a line, or did you just now and see, that's a different thing too. Did you ever have a line, or did you ever have barriers where you're like, I didn't like that they did this in that game? Or did you just make the line now because of the internet and all this stuff going on? And sometimes you don't know that because people won't tell you, or it won't get that deep into the conversation. But
I
those
think
are
I think with a lot of people too, that I've noticed, we've grown accustomed as a just community in gaming where everybody's a great reviewer. Everybody is just this in depth of like playing games. And what I've noticed just from observing people on Twitter, a lot of people do not even notice game mechanics.
oh yeah,
They don't necessarily understand it. They just mindlessly play it. They don't necessarily notice when there's like a design flaw or where something is bloated. They just play it because their attention span isn't low enough for them to catch a lot of the stuff that might catch gamers that observe it as close as we do. So
yeah,
I think that that's also a factor, because you have a lot of people that are just like, this is the breaking point. And I'm like, so none of the gaming
yeah. The
issue,
gaming parts too. Yeah,
yeah, like it never plagued you, but that's probably because you're not necessarily in tune as you come off. You just kind of want to see controversy for the sake of it happening. And that's
right,
why I kind of like, I find it fascinating, because I'm like, how much do you really know about game development, since you're
right,
really going there? Since we're going to go here,
right.
how much do you really know? Are you just mad, or are you
Well, I
pretending?
will say it's not the greatest blend for this game, because one thing that could very well happen is you could have the attacks from what's going on right now. And then if it's just another generalized Ubisoft open world game, you'll have the hardcore gamers, the ones that look at the mechanics kind of like us, right? Then you'll have both sides. Up until this point, you've really only had one, right? All of the map is too full and it's bloated and filler and all. But now you have like real world, and now you have like this woke stuff and all that. So you got that side, and then so it's like, oh my god, they're in a tough. Same thing with Star Wars Outlaws. Star
Yeah,
Wars Outlaws, it's more like, I don't know if like the
the
real world
character,
stuff.
the
Yeah,
character itself is a controversial point.
yeah.
The
I don't think it's as
lower performance,
strong as Assassin's Creed, the real world kind of element of it, but that's why I say it's to a lesser. I think Outlaws is going to show us a lot. These
yeah,
Outlaws is going to be the same thing. You're going to have the real world people, although they won't have as much of an argument, and then you'll have the gamers. And then Assassin's Creed, you'll have more of a real world argument, and then also you know what I mean. So it's going to be. I think Ubisoft is going to make a lot of money while also making a lot of people mad. That's what I think is going to
yeah.
happen.
And some of it for Outlaws is going to be unfair to them, because I haven't seen it yet. But how many people who are mad at the Acolyte gonna, like, is that gonna transition to Outlaws in any way?
Probably.
I have no idea. I haven't seen it yet, but I am fascinated with that as well. I know the pricing turned a lot of people off. Everything that they've shown as of late is really turning people off about it. You know, the lowering performance, it just looking like it was a shell of its former self. And to some people, I'm still excited for it, but I've seen a lot of people turn on it, and there was a lot of people against it to begin with. I don't think that they can really lose public opinion right now on that,
Yeah.
afford to at least. So I think that's going to sell well. It's Star Wars, though.
Yeah.
Regardless of what any Star Wars fans tells you that they won't buy it. This, once again, I'm frustrated with it. I'm not going to tell you I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to do it. Maybe I'm weak-willed. I can't help it. But
yeah, we could just be hypocrites.
exactly.
So,
But to be fair, I've never said that I wasn't going to get it. So,
true. Yeah. I've double crossed myself a few times when I probably shouldn't. I still haven't bought the AC game from last year. I liked Mirage, honestly. I didn't think it was bad at all. I enjoyed it. The Hollow is a very I want to play. Like I played Origins. Oh my god! At this point, it might have been 2 summers ago. Because I think might have been. I played Origins and Black Flag kind of back to back, and I liked Origins. I wouldn't say I loved it, and I have Odyssey and Valhalla digitally. And I'm not opposed. I just, if they're going to be 100 hours just to be 100 hours, I don't know. Like I've played Persona, and Persona is a high quality 100 hours. I don't need to waste it if it's not going to be. The Last of Us, very divided. I'm excited. I haven't played it since it first came out, and I'm going to play it next June for the 5-year anniversary. And in terms of like far out games that I'm like thinking of eventually getting to, like I'm pretty excited to replay that game just to like see, I'll be looking at it from a different perspective from the first time. No, I don't think Telltale's not on that list, so Telltale shouldn't be impacted. They can't use it. I would love for them to come out and say, due to the strike, like guys, you're not part of it.
that would be hard.
The Acolyte was that bad, Sway?
To me, it was. There's obviously two canons. If you're familiar with Star Wars, there's Legends and there's Disney, and there's a lot of aspects of Disney's lore that I enjoy, but there are also things that Disney uses from Legends, which is why there's a Wikipedia. And when you're so incorrect that you have to go and change it because a character that should not be alive is in your show, and then that character is literally responsible for saying that the Sith have not been seen for a millennia, and then you have the mishandling of Disney actually brought Kyber crystal bleeding into it. It was not Legends, it was Disney, and they messed up how that was done, and that's their own canon. And so it's like, if you're not respecting just Legends, and I get that a lot of Star Wars fans are offended at the disrespect that Legends gets, but it's no longer canon, unfortunately. But when you don't respect your own lore, what are we doing here? When there's things that people, and that's kind of why I've always been upset that they got rid of Legends, because the amount of lore, the amount of books, the amount of games that we've all took the time to just invest in, buy, pay for, watch, read, and that's thrown away, or the consistency in the details. And I think that that's what a lot of people overlook, is that to be a Star Wars fan, most of us love the details. And a lot of newer Star Wars fans are like, well, why are y'all pushing up y'all glasses and typing on the keyboard and just like, it's just this minute detail. But that's the thing. At one point in time, while there's plot holes in anything, Star Wars was so tight with details connecting and making sense and just having this great extensive lore. And to see that like not respected, and to see one show just completely mess up a lot of things and disrespect a lot of characters. If you're like me and your favorite character of all time is Anakin Skywalker, you watch that show and there is no way for you not to get frustrated. If you've read the legend canon surrounding the character, not just watched the movies, not just played the games and watched the movies, but like have done everything surrounding it, and then you watch the treatment of that character. And keep in mind, Hayden took a lot of crap for his performance in that. And George Lucas always said he played the character exactly how it was meant to be played. And a lot of people didn't understand it because a lot of people didn't read the extensive lore of why he was the way that he was, why he acted the way that he acted. And so you watch The Acolyte and you're just looking at that and you're just going like, you're destroying this character. Everything that made this character unique, everything that made this character special, everything that you made this character that made you like the character and make you think that, hey, like he was the one that did what a lot of people couldn't. And you're just basically saying, hey, these new characters did everything before him. His signature move that was literally his and no one else's was all of a sudden practice before he got there, even though nobody's seen it, nobody used it. And he is not the one, which Rey took from him. He is no longer the only virgins of the Force because you have the two twins that are now. The witches that are there did what Darth Plagueis has never done. That was his literal goal throughout the entirety of Star Wars. It's just if you've watched, read, and played most of anything out there Star Wars, there's no way you watch The Acolyte and don't feel disrespected. The only way that you don't is if you haven't, which is what I've seen online. And anytime I've had any pushback on The Acolyte, I just literally have to ask, how much canon have you read? How much have you want to go bleed in a lightsaber? I mean, a crystal, play Jedi Survivor and actually see how they bled it, which was correct. And you can't argue certain things. That's why I'm like, I've seen where it comes from. It's from newer fans who have not collected the data, and their out is always to basically insult you because you have put that time in. That is why.
There you go. There you go. I can't wait for what's next in the Star Wars TV show world. It's hard to top what they just did. I ever wonder why nobody got upset that Bayek in AC Origins is black, because it made sense. Yeah, and that's why when I've done these videos, I've had comments that have told me, like, I had a couple people early on, like the second AC Shadows video I made, that said they were unsubscribing. Whether they did or not, I don't actually know, but they said, like, I'm unsubbing because you didn't condemn the people. And I was like, well, if the people are actually, that word, right? It's like, they are, and that they're terrible. And it's like, I look at it from like, why am I even going to give them the time of day? But I also believe a good amount of the hate here is not actually from that. Not all of it. There are definitely, I've seen people online that are that word, and they've exposed themselves with like shadows 100%. But I've tried and actually gotten in trouble for not labeling, everybody that doesn't like it
and for
as
me,
that word.
That's just sad because somebody putting the actions on another person to condemn another person is a weird concept to me to begin with. Only
it is kind of strange.
Why would I mean, I already know that if this person is a piece of crap, I'm not gonna. We know. Why do I have to publicly make a statement and say it? Because
I think it comes from that world where it's like, because you didn't, you have to, right? That's a thing in politics. That's a thing across the world where if you don't say you're against it, you must be for it. When it's like, well, I could just be ignoring it. I could not
I just
care.
Don't want to be in the middle of it, because the moment you say anything, you are now involved in it. You put your hat into it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, like, some of us just like to sit on the sidelines and just kind of like, enjoy things. We don't want to be in the middle of
and by the way, that's another Hogwarts Legacy thing.
Yeah.
That was another Hogwarts Legacy thing where if you don't condemn it, if you don't say that you are this, if you buy it, you're part of the problem. And that was, again, like, and I'm standing with, I mean, I think people really misunderstood where I was going for with my Hogwarts net, where it's like, oh, you're comparing wizards and magic to real world samurai. No, I'm comparing the behavior of people.
Yeah.
I'm only comparing the behavior of people online. That's what I'm comparing. And it's literally, we're living it again. But now I guess I'm on the other side. I guess now I know what
the sides are literally flipped, because like for Hogwarts, I mean, again, it's just like when you have people tweeting like, hey, let's park outside of game stores with lines and toss rocks at everybody waiting for Hogwarts Legacy. You're talking about physically harming people. That is not okay. And it is the same thing. It's like condemning people as this or that because they're buying a game that, not everybody that bought Hogwarts Legacy bought it because they like J.K. Rowling.
Right.
Nobody did that. Not everybody did that. Most people did. And
I
it's
know
the
when I
same thing
played it,
here.
I actually had a shirt that said, "I support everything JK said." Because that's literally what it's like. You're playing it in your own home. Like
Yeah,
it's got nothing to do with. Yeah, no, that's
nothing. You could just literally like the way that the game plays. There are some people out there that just literally likes Ubisoft's formula, and they don't want anybody. They don't want to change it. They don't want to do nothing. They just like a new setting, a new map, and they just want to play it. They might even skip the cutscenes. They don't
yeah.
even care about the story.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, everybody. I have a friend who, for single player story, he skipped cutscenes in The Last of Us. The first he would just skip. I was like, "What are you doing? Like, don't you want to watch that?" But
That
that's
would
how he
drive me
plays.
bad.
He wasn't in it for that, but he liked the game. But he doesn't even know the story because he skipped it. So it's like everybody. Yeah, I mean, once you like think about that, it's very weird, very different. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. I saw like one or two other. I think modern gaming as a whole. Yeah. Doesn't help. Doesn't help because of how modern gaming is. That feeds the problem.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys having my back. Yeah. No, I don't take it too seriously. Honestly, like I'll read the comments for the Assassin's Creed ones, and then I just will either not respond or I will respond and just kind of have fun with it. I don't really care. It has made me cautious of like what to talk about with Assassin's Creed,
100%.
but I don't go to bed thinking like none of that stuff gets to me like literally at all. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. Like the next couple months for Outlaws first and then Assassin's Creed. Oh boy, it's only going to get louder. And then you'll see the results. Like, will it actually impact the What about reviews? Like, will review just like Hogwarts? Will reviews bring it up? I think they might, but maybe they like Hogwarts. Very few actually did, which I was proud of them for.
We all know I hate the current state of any journalism, specifically gaming. But
Well,
in
that'll have
my
to be a
recent
prediction as we
experience,
get closer.
is that and that's my problem with journalism right now, is that it's not based on the actual product. But if there's a specific side that you're on, no matter what it is, you're going to either condemn the game for it or you're going to overpraise it. And if you can't, in good faith, give it a bad score because it is polished, like a Stellar Blade, for example, they couldn't give it a bad score, but you could tell that they want to because about the things that they said in the interview, but the score was higher. So you're like, it's not matching. The score is not matching what you're telling me.
Yeah.
And so I think honestly that Assassin's Creed actually scores pretty high. I don't think that it scores like 90s or anything like that, but I think that it scores pretty high just because you got a lot of pushback, and the side that the media just so happens to be on, which was the opposite of what it was with Hogwarts Legacy, you just I could just see it being pushed to be higher. That's what I can. They're not going off of what is the game showing? It's going
Stellar Blade must have been frustrating because it's like, shoot, the combat is super good. And
yeah.
it's like, that's the main part of the game. So it's like, you can only deduct
so many.
Even Hogwarts, it's like, the more we've analyzed it, the more problems I think we found. But generally, I'd say it is a good game, especially like casuals, the millions of people. They freaking love the thing, right? They don't see anything wrong with it. But, it's a solid, good game. You can't give it threes, and which some didn't. One of them gave it like a 3 or a 4 and yeah, but I think maybe The Verge or something. But
and Stellar Blade makes me more angry the more that I think about it, because it's for all the talk of the story, there was a lot of story in the background of things you collected. Like most of it, I would say, was side missions and the things that you collected. And I'm like, where was this energy for Tears of the Kingdom? Where's this energy for Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, you got to stay. You got to stay. I need things kind of like fed to me. So I'm not the biggest fan. Like Elden Ring, I know has a story, but I don't. I can't sit here and I can't say the story is good because honestly, I don't know what the story is. And I would look at that, but see, I don't really look at that as a weakness of the game because I don't care. I don't care about it.
You just gloss over it.
Stellar Blade had strong elements, and then it had things that I just didn't see, like the
Yeah.
story I didn't really see. Do I care all that much? Not really. That
It
was a
was
tough one.
fun
That
to
was a tough game.
And that's why I said, like, I just look at it and I just go, like, and that's my frustration really with The Last of Us 2. It's that more than the story itself, is that there was a lot of things that they said about the game, but they did not deduct any points. But then you match that with other games that you deduct points from for those same things that you said about The Last of Us, and you still gave it a perfect 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I was like, I could see it getting a 9. I could. But getting a 10 out of 10 from a lot of these places and
Well, getting a 10, and they even said the reviews they gave at 10s talked about how split it's going to make you feel, and it's going to make you feel weird. And some reviews said you'll outright hate what they do, but they love that about it. So they gave it a 10. I get it to like, I understand like that edginess kind of like theme, but at the same time, if you outright tell people that some are going to hate it, how can you give it a perfect score? Give it a 9.9, but most don't, but don't give it a 10, because 10 is a perfect score. But then you just said some people are going to hate it. So it's not a 10, is it? And that's what and I made a video on that. I remember doing that, but I just never understood. That's engraved in my head. Some people are going to hate this game. We love that about it. 10 out of 10.
And you criticized a lot of story elements and like a lot of character decisions, and I never still give 10 out of 10. Yeah. And I'm just like, how? So that's why, like, when I look at Stellar Blade, it's like, I know you guys want to give it I know you guys don't really want to rate it that way, but at the same time, if you can give Breath of the Wild 10 out of 10, and most of the story was in things that you had to find and pick up. There was very few cutscenes with dialogue, like voice dialogue. They were there, but there were very few. You had to find them in memories. Everything else was text-based. Everything else you had to find. So to say that it was like weak on the story, when it was really only weak in the story from like a dialogue, like a voice dialogue perspective, or like it's showing you in cutscenes, but it was everywhere else. And I'm like, did you even attempt to read it? Did you even attempt to do a lot of these side missions? Did you attempt to get the memory sticks? Was there an actual effort to actually get the story out of it? I just kind of like, the more I play it, the more I go back and look at it, the more I look into the story, the more I get frustrated. I don't think it should be a 10 out of 10 by any means. I don't even think that it should be like, I could see a 9, but I wouldn't even give it a 9. But an 8, yes. Like, and the fact that it got lower than that, like 6s and things like that, I was like, you know what?
I'm done. That's why we don't put too much stock in. They're fun to talk about, and they do lead to good discussions. But ultimately, they are what they are, and we don't pay. Well, I shouldn't say we don't pay. We do pay attention to them. I would say the influence. Yeah, I think it's like the influence on the game we don't care about, but we do. They do get to us, I guess, because we do talk about it. But yeah, very nice. So this is a great talk. Appreciate all you guys watching as always. Next week is probably like a 50-50 thing, but we'll try to do these as often as we can. We always have a blast talking to the chat, and like Thursdays tend to be pretty good news days, I suppose. So, Sway, anything you want to say?
Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you all for showing support. Thank you guys for the questions that you guys were asking, and just like the engagement. I've been looking at the engagement the entire time, just like, oh yeah, this is great. This is great. So I appreciate it. It's always fun. It's always a good time. Love each and every one of you.
Appreciate you guys being here. Tomorrow I'll be live on Back to the Past to play Dragon Ball Budokai 3. Very excited. And then we'll try to get Sway on as much as we can on podcasts now for those streams, or on this show on this channel. Okay, so thank you all for being here. Enjoy Deadpool and Wolverine if you go to see it, and we'll see you all on the next one.